Hello, YouTube audience. Today we are going to paint the new Kill Team Typhon Raveners. So I'm going with my sort of play on the Leviathan color scheme, and I'll show you how I get this sort of iridescent effect on the Carapace and paint all the skin and stuff without too much effort. And so we'll be painting on these two guys. I don't remember, he's the Venom Scythe. He's Bulby Man. I don't remember. I don't remember his name. Hold on. What's his name? His name is the Venom Spitter. Oh, and that's not the Venom Scythe. He's the Fell Talon. So it's the Ravener Fell Talon and Ravener Venom Spitter. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to paint those guys. I would like to thank Games Workshop for sending me these early, so that I could work on them. Because, as some of you may or may not know, I'm a big fan of the Kill Team. I actually play the game. And my roommate has been itching for some buggos for a while. Since the new edition came out and he couldn't play High Fleet anymore, he's been like, where's my Tyranid Kill Team? Where is it? So, believe it or not, guess what we're going to use? You can call it contrast paint if you want, express paint, speed paints, whatever you want to call it. We are going to use some express paint to paint the skin. So I've got a few. I've got these two different ones. I actually tried this one at first. This is like a more magenta-y speed paint. This is a more purpley one. And then I have this other one, gloomy violet. So there's three here. They all have slightly different colors, but this one is the one I landed on, is using the deep purple. But there is a trick. A trick to this is that this is way too strong straight out of the bottle. I'm glad you enjoyed the face painting video. If we painted this directly on, crazy strong. Okay? Gasp in Spanish. Hostia? Is gasp in Spanish? Hostia. Green Comic. Hello, welcome, thanks for following. Alright, so there's nothing wrong with using this. We're going to use this one. But what we need is express medium. Okay? Or this is contrast medium if you are familiar with the contrast paint line instead, like the GW one. Works the same. I don't know the name of the kind of purplish one. So you don't want like a violet. This is like more a violet. Purple is like slightly more reddish. Okay, so violet, well, that's the game color one. Where did it go? I don't remember the names of them, but like the wash used to be Jergy Violet or something like that. This is too purpley, like, or too violet colored. It's too blue. Okay, so I'm going to go with this deep purple. Hi, Thiago. All right, so check this. One drop. I'm going to put a second drop over here. You don't need much, all right? So when you use the express medium, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. I'm going to go with like way more medium than paint. Okay. Because the medium is going to like really weaken this. Okay. We only want it to affect somewhat. All right. I'm not going for like super intense amount of color here. I just want some like subtle variation. Okay. So mix it all in good. All right. Really load the brush. You can see like how much I have here. All right. And then kind of focus on one area at a time. All right. So you want to be fast with this. All right. You can already see like here I did that. Okay. So by using the medium, it weakens the coverage without like just thinning it down into a wash. So it still like covers the surface the same, but it's not as like intensely pigmented. If you did it with water, the problem is that it would just like become splotchy or flow into the recesses too much and not like get the same effect as what we're looking for. All right, so kind of work in one area at a time. Make sure you really load the brush constantly. This is the thing people actually have a hard time with these paints is like, it's not like normal painting, okay? I really want to like cover the area and get like a good amount of paint on it, all right? And then we will do like each section at a time. So here, his arm, right? You can't like drag this stuff around. So you have to be fast with it, all right? So you have to like apply it and then move on, all right? If you try and like apply it and then like scrape at it or scrub at it, it is going to like mess up the effect. All right. So just get it on. All right. That's good. His arm here. Okay. Maybe I went a little heavy in some spots so I can make some small adjustments at a time. But as soon as it starts drying, yeah, it's like a wash, but it tints more than just like one area. Okay, so once it starts drying, then it's too late. You can't do anything with it. So you have to like let it dry, and then you have to recover it afterwards, and then go back and make adjustments once it's dry. Okay, so like here I missed. Here, make sure I get all the arm. Right, but constantly be loading the brush. You cannot have too much of this stuff. You will go this is a problem with contrast paint, but you will go through a lot of it. There's just nothing else about it. I'm sorry. Like you're going to use a lot of actual paint, like painting. If you had to do a whole army, like buy a few bottles at a time, because you're going to go through it. This whole thing will probably get repainted, but I'm going to get it covered right now just because. Hey, it's Mr. Dan Osborne. He's also good at using the contrast paint. So another thing about contrast paint, right, or express paint, whatever you want to call it. Okay, speed paint. I feel like the name contrast paint has just become synonymous. Look, I'm already like out after 10 drops. Okay. The thing about this stuff is it works really great on stuff like Tyranids. Okay. Like this is what it's awesome at. All right. Where it's not so great is actually, the funny thing is like, I don't think contrast paint or any sort of speed paint, Here you can, like, if it's, you see it pulling a lot, you can like grab a little bit and remove it. Can we reactivate speed paints? Not that I'm aware of. The thing it's not so great at is actually like big flat surfaces. So the funny thing is I don't think it's actually very good for painting things like Space Marines. But for things like the skin of a Tyranid, like this is where it shines. Like this is going to get me like 80% of the way there to painting the skin. I'm going to go back and like apply highlights and stuff. But make sure you try and get rid of any bubbles you see too. The, yeah, where it's not so hot is, yeah, big flat surfaces. So I don't think it's actually very good for painting Space Marines. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. I'm just looking for like a rough amount here, right? And then I'll get some of the paint, mix it around. I think it actually is not very good at that, surprisingly. Their flagship model, their most popular models, is the thing that it's not very good at painting. But yeah, it's awesome at like, if I was doing like a bunch of clan rats or something like that, I would probably consider doing it this way. But yeah, it's really good at doing like all these little muscles and lines and ribs and things, like all these little holes that the Tyranids have. You'll see it's not going to work as great on the tail, so the tail might require a little more like layering and cleanup than the rest of the body. But like on the rib cage and stuff, or whatever the heck you want to call his, what would be his like rib cage, you can see that it's like not as great on this section. I'm going to try and pay attention to the chat, but like I said, you do have to move kind of fast with this, so I don't have time to just chit-chat in between applying layers. Got to make sure I get it all nice and covered. Okay. But even though the tail might take more cleanup, it is so like, this will save more time than it takes me to clean up instead of trying to like do all this by layering. And I think the result turns out pretty good. So like here I didn't quite get enough on him. Apply just a little bit more. Here I didn't get like into some of these areas very well. I'm going to go ahead and cover the some of these like armor plates just to make sure that I got the like areas around them. Okay. And then missing his head and this arm. Hi, Wendy. So you can see it's like, what, I've done one Ravener, and I went through like 20 drops almost of contrast medium or express medium. This stuff will suck up, like, it will use a lot. get the brush down in there good. And I always do this stuff at the beginning, right? Like you don't want to, you want to kind of get this done early, okay? Because if you try and go back and fix like it's going to get on everything that you don't want it on also. So like all the carapace is going to be messed up, you know? I don't know the name. I don't know the equivalent in contrast. This is deep purple from Vallejo. I don't remember what the GW equivalent is called. So you see here's like maybe is a little too heavy here, but I'd rather leave this and let it dry than remove it right now. Like here, this is still really wet, so even though this is a little heavy, I can pull some of this off. At this point, this might be like too dry. If I tried, I can see that it's currently drying. So if I try and pull some of this off now, it's gonna leave like nasty stains. Okay, so I'd rather just let it dry and then layer back on top of it up to where I want it to be than try and like fix this. Now let's look real quick. I'm gonna do this just so you can see it. Look at the difference. I'm gonna put deep purple here. Look at the difference in color from with the express medium and without. Right, I want their skin to be pale. If I tried to do that over top of the model, like that is way too dark. Okay, so, but you can see just how intense that is, like in terms of color, right? This is too dark for what I'm looking for. Just joining, is this like a staining sort of pre-glaze kind of application here? It's just speed paints, man. Contrast paint. Contrast, express paint, whatever you want to call it. Whoever's brand you want to call it, right? Dude, I also do not like the summertime. Okay, so like if I did this over the top of the whole model, he wouldn't look like whitish anymore. And you should be able to see now, like between these two, right? This is the effect we're going for. So this is the result you get. Now, once it's like completely dry, 100% dry, do not touch it after this, okay? Like this now, I have two here because I'm gonna do the other one while we wait for this one to dry. If you touch this at this stage, you are going to like mess it up, okay? So just make sure that it's 100% dry before touching it any further. All right. So he's going to go over here where he will sit and I will not mess with him. Nope. All right, now I'm going to do another effect. Okay. We want to alter his skin tone. Oh, why am I not getting, oh, let's see, Treader 0, thanks for the Prime, 4 months, and then the Mad Nacho, thanks for the Prime, appreciate it. And Alex, thanks for the follow. Okay, so we're going to do him too, but what I want to do before I do him is I want to paint I want to get some color down on his bulby sacs. All right, can we see the? Let me see if you guys can see this. Do I have the instruction manual somewhere? I don't know if I do. Maybe you can see it if I go like this. Okay, these are the two guys we're painting. All right. So can you see on him? He's got these like. It's hard to see in the picture that they decide. I don't know why they used this angle for this guy. Because the interesting thing is like his inflatey venom sac thing that's like distending out of his back. We are going to paint that like a more fleshy color so that we get some like variation. Okay. So I want a light flesh tone. And then I will use the contrast paint over top of that. So I'm looking for something like sunny skin tone. Okay. I want like a warm, slightly orangish skin color. It needs to be light though, because the thing to remember with this stuff, the contrast paint, is that it cannot like cover, it only darkens things. So that's why you have to like paint it over top of lighter primes. This is actually not pure white. This is Vallejo gray primer. Vallejo gray primer is like nearly freaking white. I just like it better because I feel like it covers more than like actual gray, or than actual white primer. But yeah, it's super light. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm not really worried about touching the carapace because I've got to paint that area separate. So just to give like a variation here and make these bulby sacs a different color, we are going to apply a skin tone color to apply the purple on top of. So here I do need to be a little careful because I don't want to get this on his arm. You guys like bugs? You're a big fan of the bugs? It's skittering. The not Zerg. I know Zerg are a copy of Tyranids. Though I feel like there's a bit of like copying the copier going on. Because like some of the newer ones, this guy, some of the newer models definitely have like some more what I would call Zerg qualities. I mean, Raveners are just Hydralisks. What? Eric, the chat is blowing up. Everyone wants to know what Team Can-Am is. Just some friends. That's very true. Well, technically, it was Warcraft Orcs and Goblins was originally supposed to be a Warhammer game, and then the IP fell through, and then they were like, fine, we'll do it ourselves. And then they made StarCraft also. If you were at Golden Demon at Adepticon, you may have seen some people with Team Can-Am shirts. Okay, so something like that, right? We're getting a nice little color down, but this is also going to have to dry. And then his weird tube. Let me tell you guys, I've played, well, sort of played against them. We played a 2v2, but I've seen the new Tyranid, the Ravener team played. They're very cool. Anybody a kill team player? Got any kill team players in the chat? Who's a kill team player and what do they play? Oh, also, if you're on YouTube, let me know. Leave a comment. Let me know if you play kill team and what's your team. Am I painting a specific hive fleet? Sort of. I am painting. No, dude, I'm just trying to get engagement. I just want engagement on my videos. Come on, guys. Let me know what teams you play. It's sort of Leviathan, kind of. It's like Leviathan, but with a little twist. Some iridescent twist. Sellout would mean I'm getting paid, Richard. I'm getting paid in models and not having to deal with the fact this box sold out. Gee, also this box I think is sold out already. It's sold out in like 5 minutes. This is barely even a promotion, considering you can't even buy this box set anymore. Gotta get some stuff up under there. Hold on. Threading that needle. There we go. I will say they're not the easiest models to paint, like, because of how, like, overlapped they are. There's a lot of model overlap, and I guess you could paint them in sub-assemblies, but I don't know how easy it would be. Some of their arms and stuff you could glue on later. All right, so I just wanted to do something like that. So this will give us now a layer when we put the purple over top of this, we'll create a different effect. So we'll end up with like a different color here. Okay. But just like the other one, we need to make sure this is dry. So let's see how the other one's doing. Okay. Looks like it's getting there, but there's still some wet paint down here, all right? So you can still see that there's some shiny parts. So like this is still wet, right? There's parts in here that are still wet. So you do need to like really let this, I'm not kidding when I say like, this is like the first thing I did was paint his chest. And this in here is still wet, right? So do not touch this stuff early. Like, let it dry. One of you won't listen to me and you'll do it anyways. And then you're going to peel the paint off while it's still wet, and you'll end up with these nasty looking stain things, that coffee stains. Yeah, I know. I was specifically talking to you, Richard. Don't call me out like that. I'm calling you out. All right. So, let's go again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and it's not super important that I keep like an exact count, but I think it does. And then like one good brush full of the actual color, and we get a nice soft purple, right? It's like, okay, but make sure it's good and mixed. You see like streaks in there. All right, make sure you get it good and mixed up. What is that? Contrast medium. Yep. Express paint and express medium, like 10 parts to 1 part. Okay. So here you can see now I can apply it over top of this like skin tone, and when I do that, it's gonna like subtly shift it without like really affecting the color too much. If you see like it's not quite strong enough, like you can add just a touch more. Make sure you get all of the arm here, okay? Don't miss any spots. All right, like I gotta make sure I get all those little hooks and doodads that are on these guys. Don't use yeah, that's because Yeah, I'm going to read your. When I got into the hobby, people were all about don't use contrast or washes. You won't learn how to paint. Now I'm trying to learn how to use washes. That's because people are elitist and dumb, and they think they know better. It's not about not using them. It's about knowing when is the appropriate time to use them. There's a big difference there. When you use washes, do you thin it that much also? I'm not thinning. Okay, this is an important thing to know. I'm not thinning it, okay? When I'm using the medium, okay? This is not thinning. The medium has the same viscosity as the actual paint. So I'm not thinning the paint. What I'm doing is reducing the percentage of pigment to medium so that it is less strong on the color. All right, I'm reducing the intensity of the color here, not thinning it. Okay, thinning it would be like adding water, all right, then which is going to reduce the viscosity and change the properties of the paint. It's going to affect the way it flows and stuff like that. So there is a difference there. And do I thin washes? No. Like, washes are pre-formulated to work the way you want. Okay? So unless you're making your own washes, there's no reason to thin a wash. Hi, JC. How are you? So let me try and get... Yeah, I've got enough to do this arm. But I'm going to need more for the big back thing and stuff, so... Okay, so does that make sense what I'm doing with the medium? I'm not actually thinning out the paint. I'm reducing the pigment count to medium, so it's... Because contrast paint or express paint or whatever, right? Speed paint is intentionally transparent, right? By adding more medium, what I'm doing is reducing the coverage, so it affects the underlying base coat less. So I get a softer purple color. All right, so here, watch what, look, this is bad, okay? So I messed up. 1, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, whatever, good enough. All right, so I'm gonna add, let's mix up another pool. And add just a touch of water. So watch what happens here. See all the tail is wet, still wet down here? All right, so I think I'm lucky in that it hadn't like started to dry too much. But what could have happened when I did that is like you would have seen a very clear, no, I can see it a little bit, delineation from where I did the first coat and where I like started to extend the coat. And that is how you end up with like pretty bad stains. So the tail, I actually want a little bit more water in it so that I'm not affecting it too much. So I'm actually going to add just a touch more water to the tail in order to reduce it a little more. Because here I just want like some subtle color on the tail. See right there? There I hit it earlier on accident while painting the other sections. And now I've got a gross little stain that I'll have to fix in the actual like layering stage. So when I come back to highlight this stuff, I'll have to repair that little section right there. But from a general standpoint, this is still, like I said, so much faster than trying to do it the other way. Like it could take hours to even just get to this stage. Make sure you get it good and down in the back there. Oh yeah, you might get some air bubbles sometimes. Try and get those out. Things like his face here, right? Like it's very easy to get little air bubbles in these holes. You might even see it here. There's a little air bubble in there. I find just like lightly blowing on it can get rid of them. They will dry nasty. You don't want those there when it's drying. Hair dryer can also help, but be careful with the hair dryer too much because it can like really push, because this stuff is like pretty low viscosity, right? It can really like push it around. Even gravity will like cause this stuff to move around quite a bit. So like how you hold it while it's drying can affect where the paint settles. Yeah, man, paint some tabletop. Some nids. The Tyrannoids. Okay, so now you can see I'm going to apply the same purple to this area that I did the skin tone, right? And I get like a different result. So it's like using the same shadow color, but because I base coated it in the skin tone, right? I get a different effect. And then I can highlight them with the same color, so it's like the mid-tone has changed. And I get a nice sort of color transition. But yeah, it'll help like all these little veins and stuff pop out nice. All right, so boom. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. There's maybe just a little too much on this side of his face. I judged MPO. And I didn't get gold, I got silver. I got silver in, right? I think. I'm pretty sure I got silver in unit. Diego, thanks for the prime 3 months. Appreciate it. All right, just double checking that I got everything. Anything that is like left unpainted is going to be a different color, right? So all this stuff is purple carapace. So I believe I got all of the skin, air quote, skin on him. Let me check this guy. How's he doing? Is he dry? Still not totally dry yet, but he's pretty close. Enough that I could probably start working on some other parts. Like at least like base coating some other things. So we're doing all right. Actually, what I'll probably do is I'll probably base coat these like I did his sack thing, right? So I'll probably, because he's also a venom man, he's got poison claws, I'll probably come back and do those the same way I did his back thing. All right, so I will be back in just a few minutes while this guy dries a little bit, and then we will continue on. So, BRB. He's dry enough. Yeah, he's dry. We're gonna... So, I could theoretically use the, like, purple, right? This one to, like, do the plates, but because I'm going for my other version, this sort of effect, this is going to require like more layering. Okay, so we're going to paint the, what's it called traditionally? Less than 2 weeks to WME. That is correct. Are you finished with your piece? Because I am. I finished yesterday. I finished last night. Hello, Jet. It's all biomass. I'm getting annoyed with the city now. They need to come spray for mosquitoes. I mean, I guess I'm going to be gone for a month and a week, so kind of whatever there, but... Hello. Hi, Inferno. Anyone remember the old movie, The Eagle Has Landed? Michael Caine plays a German officer, doesn't even try to do a German accent. Alright. I don't think I've ever seen that movie, no. So be careful at this part. This is a kind of an annoying part because you have to, you know, paint these plates, right? The Carapace plates without touching the stuff you already did. So take your time. And I know not the most exciting thing in the world to watch either, but it gives you guys an idea. So you'll also notice that this like violet doesn't really cover that great on some of these parts that are like, you know, primed to lighter color. So it could end up kind of streaky, right? You can see that it's like not covering perfectly. So it's okay, like even doing a thick layer, we might have to come back and go back over top of it. See, if I didn't wait for this to dry, you know what would happen when I go to do this part of the carapace? All that wet paint would just like pull this, as this like violet touched that wet paint, it would just pull it everywhere. It would just go into it and then go off and all run in every direction into the skin, whatever. Some of these parts I might have to do where I can manipulate the model more. Thank you, Splatterhouse. Okay. Be careful here. Thick boy. Look at that thick layer. Okay? When base coating, you can do these thick layers. Just make sure that you move the paint around and leave it to dry before applying another layer. Okay? Otherwise, you start to like move it and it gets like streaky and gross. Okay? So you can apply it, just make sure you try and move it pretty evenly coated and then let it dry completely before applying another layer. Hello. Okay, so I've got the carapace there, but I need to get underneath some areas. This is one of the disadvantages to painting with priming with a gray, right, or a white, is now like anything that is normally like up underneath his carapace here, it would just be black and I could just leave it black because it's in shadow and who cares. Now I have to like actually get the brush in there and try and paint it all dark purple, so. Hello, Ethan. Thanks for the tier 1. Appreciate it. We're just painting some bugs. See, can you see like down here, right? This line here, like this stuff. This is the kind of thing that would be like, oh, it's black, who cares? Now it's like, oh, it's supposed to be dark purple, but I see white, right? So it can be a little annoying. Might be easier to leave the head off. But, you know, that's up to you how much. I don't really like to paint sub-assemblies if I can avoid it. So causing myself a slight headache having to try and like get the brush down in there versus having to paint the head separately, like meh. I am doing Feedback Friday this week. Next week is when I will be gone for like a month. Hitting the road, Jack. Oh yeah, by the way, thanks for reminding me. So, 3 seats are still available for the workshop in London in roughly 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. No, I'm not going to Finn. I will be in Tacoma, Washington. But I will be in London in 3 weeks, and there's still 3 seats available. So if you're interested in taking a workshop, yeah, a couple tickets are still for sale. Other than that, yeah. What's in Tacoma? I grew up there. Tacoma is the Warhammer US Open. I will be teaching some painting classes and doing some streaming. Oh, yeah. The Twitch Okay. So, Twitch class when I get back. All right. So, hold on. Let me finish base coating this, and then I'll talk about the live, the streamed class. All right, good enough for right now. Oh, I need to do his chest. Don't let me forget his chest. Okay, so. Mosquitoes, I hate you so much. Ugh. Twitch class, August 9th. Mark it on your calendar. I will be doing an all day. We will start early in the morning, East Coast time, probably like 9 a.m. So if you're on the West Coast, you will have to wake up early, but I'm going to start early-ish on the East Coast so that people in Europe, it'll start, what, like 3 p.m., 2 p.m. UK time, and then run for about 8-ish hours, and then 3 p.m. EU time. So yeah. So I'm doing a class featuring this model. This guy right here from Epica Tales. It will be an all-day thing. I will give instructions. You guys can follow along. It's free to watch, but just like the Feedback Friday, you have to be a Twitch sub in order to get access to the channel where I will give live feedback during the class on how your figure is going. So you will follow along with me, take progress photos, post them to the channel. I will give live feedback on the people who are subs, and then we will continue throughout the day painting on this guy. Okay, so anyone is free to watch and participate, but only those that are subs can actually like submit for live feedback. Bugs. Where'd it go? I think I got it. The figure is available. We decided to not do a pre-order. Okay. Joaquin has told me that there should be plenty of supply if the website sells out. All right. There is the link to the figure. If the website sells out, he will post more. I will let him know, like he will tell me that it's sold out. He will post more, so just check back. Everyone should be able to get a copy of the figure, and they should be shipped to you by August. Okay, so he just has to produce more and make them. Okay, so yes, you can buy the figure from the website. Do not worry if it sells out. There will be more. Don't panic. All right. So yeah, August 9th, all right? So mark it on your calendar. Coolio. It's an all-day thing. I know. I haven't forgotten. Just do some work on the claws here. As soon as I picked him back up, I was like, oh yeah, the chest. My chest. My bloody chest. There's other parts that I have to like get to that are going to be annoying, that I need to like do it like this so I can see it so I won't really be able to do it on camera well. Plus other parts need like a second coat and stuff. There's so many little angles and things that are difficult to see some of this stuff. So yeah. All right, so all the claws, the talons, little tiny hooks and barbs and things will all be black. I think on this section, I'm gonna like do it like a dual way. Yeah, they're quite they're quite detailed, and they're very like looped in on themselves, so there's a lot of like overlapping areas that can be a bit difficult to reach. But I rather have a cool sculpt than an easy model to paint, to be honest. Well, if you can't have both. A dynamic sculpt, you know. So many little claws and things that are all gonna reach in, and these guys came with the Typhon box came with the Hormagaunts. I think I said that right. Pretty sure the Hormagaunt, the claw ones. I always get Hormagaunts and Termagaunts confused. Pretty sure Termagaunts are the ones with the guns, and Hormagaunts are the ones with claws. Those sculpts are sick. Like, they're really cool. I like the one that's there's one that's like drifting. He's like running so fast and like sliding. It looks really neat. I would talk about the army, but nobody seems to play what's it called? Actually play the game. So I got nothing to talk about. Alright, so I'm seeing a couple spots here where I didn't quite get this as covered as I would like. I want to get a lit. So it's fine if this goes over the purple, right? It's just going to darken it a little bit further. So no big deal there. I want to make sure I get these little, I don't even know what the heck, holes, vents. I think I seem to remember some of them like smoking spore holes. Yeah, it's those casual spore holes that you've got, right? You guys have those, right? You hear it's hard? Kill team? Nah, dude. It's not hard. It's an easy game. I've played some complicated tabletop games like Infinity. I know, I haven't forgotten. Got any Infinity players in the chat? That game's complicated. Alright, so I've got my hit skill, so I need to roll this, but I've got to roll under it. I'm going to roll under my ballistic skill, but then yours subtracts from it, so really it adds, so it makes the number higher. It's basically THAC0. I just realized that that Infinity basically works on THAC0. Hi, Brittany. I mean, it uses a D20. Well, I've got martial arts level 4, and what that does is not give me any of the benefits of martial arts level 1 through 3, or it does. I don't know. Sometimes do that. Well, I've got airborne deployment level 2, and you'd think that it would give you the benefits of level 1, but it doesn't. But some skills they do. If you have level 2, you get both the benefits of level 1 and level 2. How did they do this? Is it his whole claw or is it just part? How did they do it on the box art? They made it like purpley, which I kind of like. I think I might do something like that and blend the two into each other. No, nobody wants to roll around a bunch of D20s. Too much math. If you didn't know, Infinity was actually started as a like a supplement to what's it called? It was like a D&D basically supplement. I don't know if it was D&D, it was like GURPS or whatever that is. Bye, Doms. Anyways, kill team, not that complex. Fun game. So I think what I'm going to do here is, because he's got weird claws, I'm going to have it like transition from one to the other. So it's going to like start as the like purpley claw and then get more black as it goes down. Sort of like how I did his little antennae. Yeah. So it starts as like the purple and then it turns black. He's the only one with a weird claw like this. Because he's got to poison you. Because if the giant monster claw doesn't kill you, you know, the 12-inch across spike going through your chest, if that doesn't get you, the venom definitely will. I guess when you're fighting 12-foot tall, or not 12-foot, like, how tall are Primaris? 9, 8 feet? Something like that? I guess when you're fighting those guys that have, you know, 2 hearts and stuff, maybe you do need super toxic spikes. Yeah, dude, you gotta shoot other bugs from your gun. The flesh borers. All right, so I'll make some sort of effect here where it changes, right? One devil evil LO. So the interesting thing here is if you were speed painting, right? Say you were painting like, I don't know, 30 gaunts or something. You could do like some of the like edge highlighting on the carapace at this point and like do the little lines or something and basically like call this guy nearly done, right? Like if you just wanted to get him on the table, like doing a few more little things, like painting the eyes. I mean, I still have to finish painting some of the other claws and stuff, like these little tiny ones. But like, man, some edge highlights on some of the claws and the carapace, you can basically be like, he's finished. I'm going to go a little further than that and like do some little highlights on the the white parts and paint some other details and stuff. Get a little fancier, but yeah, I mean, it's up to you how far you want to go with some of this stuff, right? Like, this is a perfectly reasonable stopping point for some people, right? It's just about, like, if you want to do the traditional Leviathan scheme, you paint the little hash lines like on the carapace. Boom, call them basically done, right? But if you want to step it up a little further, you can, push a little more detail into certain areas, right? Like here, some of these areas I want to come back and add some highlights back in and stuff. You sat on a spoon and it pierced through the Why was there a spoon on your chair? Nah, they don't take that long. You don't have to do that many of them. I mean, you don't even have to, do them. But I'm going to do this, right? Like, these aren't even hash lines. I'm going to paint like volumetric, like shiny highlights, like his armor, his carapace is almost like a beetle, like it's shimmering, But it's up to you how far you want to go. Is the Leviathan scheme, it used to be that they did red claws on them. Is it still that way, or did they change it? I would check the box, but they don't have, it's got the High Fleet Typhon on it, not, hence the name of the box, Kill Team Typhon. Or did they change it? They moved away from that? Okay. I was trying to remember. It used to be red. It used to have red scything talons. It looked a little cheesy. I prefer the more black ones. I've often heard people say to paint a lower level for the tabletop and then improve on the paint jobs between games. However, I'm a firm believer that once a gaming piece has been on the table, nobody ever paints them again. Has anyone painted after playing? I have gone back and fixed some things. But yeah, I mean, basically when a model is done, it's done. Right? Or maybe like, oh, I need to freehand all these like emblems on them or something, and you just don't do it yet. So then you've got to like, oh, I need to finish them, but I don't have time to freehand all these squad markings or something, Then you go back and do it afterwards. This part is super annoying to reach. Look at that. Get in there. Yeah, I'd say it happens. Just not super common. I think it's fine for certain grunts and things to be, you know, not to your highest possible standard. I don't have time to paint an entire 40K army. In general, I could just stop right there. But I definitely don't have time to do it all to like the same level I would paint my kill team, because I only have to paint 6 models versus, I don't know, how many models is like a Space Marine kill team now? Or like a Space Marine, a 2,000 point 40K army of Space Marines. Like 100 guys? It's probably not 100. But you get what I mean. 50? More than 6, less than 100. All right, great. Two and a half combat patrols. That can't be right, because some of the combat patrols are tiny. 50-ish? Yeah. Anyways, what I'm getting at is, you know, it's up to you how far you want to push your models. If I was painting Tyranids, and probably will, I'll paint some Tyranids, because there's some cool missions where you get to use like termagants and stuff. Termagants and hormagants. I'll probably paint some, and it'll be less time than what I spend on each one of these Raveners. Right? Probably paint a gaunt in 2 hours or something. But if I was doing 50 gaunts, I'd probably try and get them down to 30 minutes each, something like that. I remember back playing War Machine, I could paint a squad of 10 guys in a day. Nah, I'm not gonna do that. Sorry, Scott. Not gonna happen. I don't feel like, and then put him in the thumbnail using the Henry Cavill for views. Who would do that? Ten guys in a day? It's not that many. Depends on how long you paint in a day. But that's like a model an hour. If you spend all day painting a 10-man unit. But in the same time, even while painting that, I would paint a warcaster or a warjack where you have, you use them a lot less. I'd paint them in like a day or two, right? So I was spending more time specifically on the figures that I cared about. Trencher model number 22, if he dies, no one cares. He just comes off the table. Your Warcaster dies, the game's over. So it's 100% guaranteed that your Warcaster is on the table for the whole length of the game. In case you never play War Machine, your Warcaster is like the equivalent of your... it is a combination of your king and your queen in chess. It is simultaneously your strongest piece, but also, if it dies, you lose the game. Were you at Privateer the same time as Matt? No. I knew Matt when he worked for Privateer, but I started after he left. I started after Dallas left to go do... what's it called? Atomic Mass. So that was... I think two or 3 years after Matt had left. And I never worked there full time. I just did commission work. I was freelance. Hi, new to Twitch, thought I'd stop by as I love 40k and Nids is my army. Well, welcome. Hello. Nids is not my army. It's my roommate's army, but I'm painting them for him. I did enjoy working on Monster Apocalypse because it was basically like painting 75mm models, and then I didn't have to paint bases. But they were cool because, like, every one of them... like, occasionally you'd get some... you would get, like, some guys that were in the same faction. You had to paint them, like, basically the same. But a lot of them were, like, pretty unique. Like, even amongst the same faction. Like, the dinosaurs, you didn't have... They were giant dinosaurs. You didn't have to make them the same color scheme, right? So I got to do basically whatever the heck I wanted on some of them. Or like the giant werewolf and whatever. Yes, he's real. Monster was edited? What? Huh? I don't understand the question. Oh, no, it's not. I can read it just fine. Well, he's ready to envenom something. That's the sound they make. Some skittering bugs. Nope, never heard. And you know what? After the stream, I never heard it again. We scared him off. Sorry. The question was, did you ever find the critter in the attic? No. Never heard from him again. Probably too hot in there now. Now he's like, it's like 120 degrees in the attic at the moment. Like freaking die. Too hot in the hot tub. Gonna make you sweat. Bam, bam, bam. It's gonna get you wet. All right, how we doing? So basically everything's base coated. Here, let's do this. All right, remember when I showed this color earlier? Where was it? No, you probably don't remember because it was very early on. Where'd it go? Hello? Brain? Where did the color go? What did you guys do with it? There it is. Cardinal purple. So you're gonna see the difference in color here. Look at this. This looks like red, right? On the palette. It's like very deep color here. Let's look at it on the when we thin it out a little bit, you can see it's like this little more magenta colored. So we're going to use this for, is this is going to be for all these parts, okay? So, I know, I'm going to zoom out a little bit, but I just wanted to show what part I'm talking about. So all of the, I don't know what to call this, torn, these like seemingly muscular parts, whatever. weird fleshy bit lines. Did I touch something? Oh, I must touch the bottle. Look how much paint pulled up there. See that? I'm gonna have to fix that. I just now noticed that. But that's how much this stuff can like pool. Right? See, this is why it doesn't work as great on flat surfaces. Okay? Then he's got one other little part I want to do this to. Actually, he's got a couple, but I want to do it. I like doing it to these little areas right here. So it's like the weird ligament connectors between his shell. You can do it in these areas like this. Right. So like in his armpit areas. So anywhere that looks like fleshy connective tissue, I like to hit it with this more pinkish color. Now some areas might be like extremely difficult to get to. If they're super tiny, don't worry about it too much. Probably never notice it. But like, yeah, you can get up in there. Like this one, really small. Again, I haven't done any of the highlighting yet on the, gone back and done any highlighting on the skin, exoskeleton, whatever the hell you want to call it, right? So I'm not super worried about accidentally touching some parts right now, because I'm going to go around and do some edge highlights and stuff on the white parts. Right, if I hit these little bits here, I'll just a touch. It's like, meh, okay. Yeah, I can't. I'm sorry, Scott. I'm not an expert on. I guess they're not xenomorphs. Are they? Whatever they're. What do they call the like Tyranids? Bioforms. I'm not an expert on Tyranid bioform anatomy. Xenobiology. See, here's another thing I like to do. I like to take and water this down a little bit. I can even hit it with some of this, the contrast medium, right? I'm going to thin it out some. I'm going to take and I'm just going to do some like around his little jaw. So like these little connector muscles on his, around his mouth. I like to hit those. That is the correct term. The correct terminology is Xeno's scum. Burn the Xenos, purge the heretic. Especially coming from a Death Watch player. These guys are going to look so good when my Death Watch are shooting them to death. Is it next week? Too bad I won't get to play it. Midnight 201. Hello. Welcome. Suffer not the alien to live. All right, so that should be all the little connective tissuey bits. There's still some parts of the carapace that I've missed. This is really the thing that takes the most time when painting these, is just getting all this stuff base coated. Like if you look here, right, I've got to like come over here and real carefully try and paint around this stuff. If I was nice, I would have, actually if I had more time, what I would have done is I would have gotten it to like one of them to this stage before the stream, like a regular cooking show, you know? Been like, and then we take the Tyranid out of the oven. All of its base coats. This is the worst part to paint right here. This little part that's like on his hip. I guess what would be his hip? I don't know. Like you guys can't see what I'm doing at all. because it's hidden behind other parts. All right. Is this the running joke today? We're just going to keep talking about Michael Caine and the eagle has landed. But don't let that distract you from the time in 1998 when Undertaker threw Mankind 15 feet off the top of the cage through a table in Hell in a Cell. Thanks, Brett. All right, so that's... I'm sure there's some spots I missed. I'm going to have to inspector some elements, right? Like come in here and check some of these. Make sure all these little claws and stuff are done. But I'm going to make sure tonight, I am going to show you how I do the iridescent, okay? I'm not going to leave you hanging. So I will show how I do the iridescent Carapace. I keep no secrets here. Sir Pugs, hello. Welcome. Thanks for following. All right. So, look, kind of classic looking Leviathan scheme. Yeah, you can see the difference. And then this is where... So this is base coated. This Carapace is base coated the exact same way. All right. So like, you can see how much more blue one ends up looking than the other. But these two figures were started identically. All right. So just keep that in mind. All right. So get this one, guys. I'll read this to you because it's funny. So I'll give you some background. The city I live in. If you are self-employed, as in you file your taxes as self-employed, you have to own a business license, okay? And it's like, I don't know, $20 or something for the year to own a business license to be self-employed in the city, all right? I got an email today that says, "Good morning, Mr. Swinson. I am reaching out to you in regards to your business license account. Your current activity is listed as painting. Painting requires a Department of Professional and Occupational Regulation license or a signed affidavit declaring you are exempt from DPOR license. Attached to this email are the contractor proof of state license or exemption, and contractor certification of insurance forms. Please review and complete the blah, blah, blah. If you have any questions," I'm like, I just replied like, "I'm a painter as in an artist, not a painter as in like a house painter." They think I paint like houses for a living. They're like, "You need a contractor license." I'm like, "I'm not that kind of painter." Where'd my deep purple go? I paint a house with size 2. Yeah, I paint houses with my Kolinsky sable brushes. It's very expensive. Dude, we could go all the way up to a size 6, baby. Look at this thing. Boom. Yeah, I paint cars. Scale. Just like, and then send him a picture. No, I don't paint houses. I paint cars and then send him a picture of like a scale model. I like to do that to people because I don't really call myself an artist, like whatever. I'm a painter. That's what I call myself. That would be pretty funny though. Be like, yeah, I paint cars for a living. Really tiny cars. Doug, thanks for the Prime. Appreciate it. All right, so let me get this covered real fast. Throw some of that contrast back on there. Get his venom sacs looking good. I forgot that part deep in there, but that's all right. I'll just hit it with like a little highlight to get that. I was very confused that I even need a business license when I went. They were like, because I used to live in Virginia Beach, and when I moved, they didn't require one. For like self-employed people, or maybe they do now, and maybe it was like a COVID work from home thing, whatever. Who knows? That you didn't need one. But when I moved and stuff, they were like, yeah, you got to have this. And I was like, okay. They're like, and I go and get it, and they give you like a little sticker that you normally put like on the, you put it on like the front door or the window of your business location, right? To show that you have an active business license. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this sticker? They're like, I don't know. I was like, I work out of my home. When I had to get a city business license, the closest thing to sculptor on their books was stonemason. Yeah, that seems like another one that they'd be like, we see you're listed as a stonemason. You're gonna need a contractor license for that. And you're like, no, I don't. I sculpt with clay. I should have just put artist, whatever, and just not had to deal with it. You would think. Alright, I've got to do all these, but I'm going to wait until after I do the highlights and stuff to do that. I'm going to get the eyes real quick. I'll end up painting the eyes yellow, but I just want to get around them to give them some of that redness around the eye. Okay, so what do we got to do? All right, we can start doing some of the carapace. So I'll show you sort of how this works. All right. So you can see I didn't cover it like 100%. So what I want to do is I'm going to think about. In Canada, you can declare whatever portion of your house you do business in and use that portion of the rent mortgage. Yeah, I can claim the studio also as on my taxes. So like this room that I paint in, I claim on my taxes. All the empty space that I just have like a case full of my Kingdom Death models, I could claim that. That's my gallery. The room no one uses except for the glass case of miniatures in there. I'm about to take my first step on my Thousand Suns army, first rubrics primed and ready to paint, already dreading the filigree. Dude, chaos is the worst in terms of that stuff. Like filigree, whew, that is not particularly fun to paint. I will say. Don't love it. This is the other one that was really... I used to play Scorn, and they're also covered in annoying filigree. Cardi 00, hello. Or is it just Cardio? Cardio? Hi, hello, welcome. All right, so we've got purple. I need a little more because it's drying out slightly. Okay, so get a little more purple. And then what I'm gonna grab? I'm gonna grab a teal. put it in here? No, it's not in my travel bag. It's over here. So that's jade green. The teal. Yeah, this one. So turquoise, the turquoise. Okay. I'm gonna get a little turquoise. And then I'm gonna get some of this nice light verdigris. Yeah. Or even glacier blue. It's like real light blue, glacier blue. Actually, I like this as a highlight on the skin also. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We want to think about, so what's, we want to think about this as like non-metallic, okay? What I'm gonna do is mix some of these two, all right? So you can see it's going to look very blue, right? So this mixing purple and this turquoise basically gives us a blue tone, okay? And I'm going to think about this like an NMM, all right? So this angle's okay, this one's better, right? So here on these things, I'm going to start painting some lights along the carapace like it was a non-metallic surface. All right. You can see it starts off quite dark. Okay, but as we add more, we can add just a touch of glacier blue to it to give it a little light. We're gonna have to go through a few colors to get up to lights, but I want to make sure I save quite a bit of the purple, right? I don't want to cover the whole thing. All right, so I start by painting a light like this. Okay, do the same thing on this section. So I want to leave some purple areas. All right, well, where would it be up here? Maybe a little less on this because I don't get too much like facing directly. So this upper section is going to have less blue on it. All right, and then down here it's going to start facing away pretty quickly, so not too much down there. And then I've got the same thing here. So it's going to create some reflections there. And this area is interesting because this is going to be mostly edges, right? So on this up here, I want to make sure I get these sort of edges, and then like in here, so I'm looking for areas basically that it would reflect like a metallic, right? Okay, now I'm going to add more of the teal, so I'm going to basically go straight to the teal color. Maybe it'd help if I zoom just a little bit more. All right, so I'm leaving quite a bit of the purple, but you can now see just by the combination, even though I don't have much actual blue on the carapace, the combination of the teal and the purple creates this kind of iridescent blue effect. Yeah, nope, not even gonna try it. Hello. New, I'm just going to go new. All right, so paint a little more, right? And then up here, I'm going to hit some of this area, get some of that edge highlight there. Maybe there's a little bit right here that reflects. Okay. All right. So something like that. And I'm going to add more glacier blue. So we're going to get this light teal. All right. So you think of it almost like it's like a color shifting paint, right? We're kind of doing a, instead of just going like adding white to purple or using a color like this, right? We're going through this teal up to like a very light blue. And this is going to create this like color shifting effect in the plates. Okay. So even though majority of the Carapace plate itself is still, you know, this like deep violet color, it sort of shifts the general tonality of it to what you would think is maybe closer to a bluish, right? Okay, so something along those lines. And then we're going to add even more. And this will be sort of our last layer. And this is what's really going to make it like look shiny. So these few little dots. All right, so it's a pretty short transition, but it gives it that very shiny iridescent effect. Basically want to lean into the fact that they're bugs These insectoids. All right, so how quickly just a little change, like, so a result of, you know, this look versus this, and how shifting through the colors can really alter how you perceive those colors, you know? Can make a big difference. This makes sense to you guys, or am I talking nonsense here? No, Eric, you're out of your mind. So even though we really have, like, even though we really have no blue, like there's really not any actual blue, like this bluish tone here, right? But it's purple and teal, but the sort of shared color, the average color between them is like a blue tone. The final effect ends up making the general armor, right, look bluish. Right, so we end up with a blue looking scales, even though there's really not any actual blue. Not truly blue, right? And then we could do the same thing on the other side. We can pick like another angle to do stuff from and play around with it a lot from there, but yeah, so what I would do is on the underside is I would go more with like a magenta sort of color. And if I wanted to play even more with it, right? It's like the downward fade, what would be the ground reflections in non-metallic, I can shift to like a magenta sort of color and make that effect even further, right? And you do that whole thing and you end up with, you know, something like this, right? Look at those boys. They're so happy. They're ready to scythe some things. Yeah. You could do this with a lot of color ranges, right? You could, if you wanted to make like an iridescent blue, you could go, or like an iridescent purple, you could go through blue, like up through to like a more reddish orange, and it would create that similar effect. All right, so like here on the head, let's just get some more color on the head. I like to start at a nice dark color where possible, right? I want to get it to like a deep, dark violet. Off to bed for me, but tomorrow we're gonna look up some beetle carapaces reference. Yeah, some of them get up to this like even like lime green and sometimes like orange, like orangish in colors. They can get crazy. But yeah, iridescents are very weird, and they reflect very strange. So it does tend to have this sort of metallic shine to it, though. The shiny boy. Traditional Leviathan? Eric's Beetle Leviathan. Only 3 more? No, there's 5. I've done 1. Here's 1. So this is the second one. And I did the this much on this one. So there's a few more. Walter is rating. Hello, hello. Hi Walter, how are you? What were you doing? What were you working on? Well, 3 more. He's not done yet. So there's 4 more to go. This one isn't finished. He's still pupating. Cool. Careful slaps ice cream. We leave those sorts of puns to Richard. Nah, he's got a lot more work to do than 0.9. I've got a lot of details to do on this guy. I haven't highlighted the body at all. And like we gotta come in and there's like quite a few more hours left on this guy. And like I haven't come in and done like layering at all on any of his body. Clean up all this stuff. I've got to come around and like you should be able to see a bit of the difference between his skin. Maybe not. I would think so. Hopefully you can see a bit of a difference between the skin on the two. Like one is more pink, one's got like actual highlights and stuff. Maybe not. But yeah, there's a bit left to go. You're assuming this one's even halfway done. I round this one down to 0. He's 0% done. This was like 15 minutes of work. It's got to be at least 3% done. Yeah, something like that. I think I could finish both of these 2 tomorrow, though. I think this one and the other one will be done at some point tomorrow. And by tomorrow, I mean Friday morning. So this is another one of those like fine touch things that you don't really have to do, but I think it can make a difference. So like just coming back and trying to highlight some of these things. All right. On the like gaunts and stuff, maybe I wouldn't do this, but on you know, more important models, I would say like, yeah, it's worth the effort. Also give me a chance to clean up some areas where I may have accidentally touched parts that got overdone. Right, so like here's a little messy spot, can fix that. Give his bicep a little highlight. You know, make him shiny. He's a shiny boy. You guys think Tyranids are just wet all the time like xenomorphs? They're just constantly slimy. I actually don't really like the, you know, people use that like glue effect to like make like slime connecting through their talons and stuff. I'm not a big fan. I know at least in Space Marine 2 they don't look like they're all they don't look like they're all like wet all the time in Space Marine 2, so I really don't know what their texture is. Like we were talking earlier, it's a like this is a tail, right? So clearly this thing like stretches. So it can't be like a exoskeleton, right? Because an exoskeleton is hard. So it has to be some kind of like fleshy, stretchy material. And based on this like rib cage looking thing, they have some sort of bone structure to them. They're definitely a vertebrae of some kind. I need answers. Where are my lore experts at? to tell me about the chitinous materials or whatever that a Tyranid is made from. Soft part is hot dog texture. All right. Gross. Like a boiled hot dog or like a raw hot dog. I guess hot dogs aren't ever really raw. You can eat a hot dog right out of the package. Glizzy and Glizzy-nid. Oh, dude, a snappy dog, so good. Yeah, they're actually just like casing, like a snappy dog hot dog casing. So yeah, you can see here on the arm, like I'm re-highlighting this. It's a small difference, but it makes a difference. Like you can see the difference between this arm and that arm back there, right? Unplugged mic, thanks for the prime. And Erogenous D51, thank you. What else do I want to show? Is there anything else I really need to show? The what's it called? It's done like the same way. The black basically is done very similar to the actually the black is done literally identically to my Deathwatch armor. So if you want to see that how I do that, if we don't get to it, that is how it is done. It's just like a dark turquoise up through these like blue grays. Tyranids hate the Wienermobile, or they love it. I don't know. Oh, a glizzy gobbler. Doesn't matter. You can't hide from the Tyranids because they eat themselves too. I was like, if this is a lore thing I actually know. If they're not connected to a synapse creature like the hive mind, they start going nuts and eating each other. Like they resort to just consume everything. Their base instinct. Consume it all. Man, I tell you what. So I went to this. Maybe do we have any Texas people here? So there's this Asian grocery store in Texas, and I don't remember the name. It's not that has like a food court in it. Maybe it's only in Austin. I don't know. Yeah, it's got like a food court in it, and it's all Asian food. H Mart, yeah, dude, that place was awesome. H Mart is all over. Well, I only saw it for the first time in Texas because we don't have it here. Yeah, I got the Korean chicken wings. And I will tell you, I was like, yo, give me that spicy soy garlic. I can handle spice. Like, I am a spice enjoyer. I'm not a chili head to the point of being like, let me eat that Reaper raw, but I like hot food. And man, this like spicy soy garlic was kind of kicking my ass. I ate it all, but I was like, whew. I love some Korean fried chicken though. I'll order my food some Thai spicy sometimes, you know. If I'm feeling in the mood, give me the hot stuff. I've joked about it, but it's one of the things I miss the most when I go to Europe is like getting legit spicy food is pretty hard. Certain countries worse than others. France doesn't exist. Spain doesn't exist. Yeah, I've got Bonchon. We have Bonchon here. I used to go all the time because it was like right down the street from where I worked. I could just walk there. Then their chicken tenders got smaller. I was like, what is this shrinkflation? I tell you what, I'm looking forward to in London. So I'll be in London in a few weeks. London has a pretty nice Chinatown with like a lot of places that do like dim sum and stuff. I'm looking forward to some dim sum in Chinatown. Because we have some dim sum places, but some of them only do it like one day a week. Well, London isn't cheap for anything, so yeah. I remember it not being that bad, though, to go eat in Chinatown. Yeah, so probably pretty similar to London. It's just an expensive city. LA. I love some good tacos, and you never had good tacos till you had tacos in LA. Guys, you can get pretty good tacos everywhere. You just have to know where to look. My buddy was joking. So my roommate travels a lot for work, and he was in Naples. And one of his coworkers is Mexican American, and he was like, "Dude, he could sniff out tacos. He found this lady in Naples that was also from Mexico and ran a taco place. He was like, he could just find it. He was like, I know they're around." All right, getting them highlights on there, huh? It's a little edge. It's a little edge highlights and stuff. It helps. Takes time, but you know, you want your figures to be okay, or you want them to be amazing. See, this was a problem here. This part got too much. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some of the white, and now that some of this this contrast has kind of dried up a little bit, right? It's dried on the palette some. Now I can mix with it, and it won't like run everywhere. So I can use it to kind of soften this. I can blend with it. Son of a, my white egg just exploded. I was trying to fill my airbrush. Happens. It's a disaster. It's all happens to the best of us. Pixel Man, hello, welcome. So yeah, if some of the express paint, you know, pools too much and it gets too dark, you can mix it with some of your white and you can go back over it and blend it out a little bit, get it back to sort of a baseline, and then fill it back in, highlight it back up the normal way, you know. This is an old-fashioned layering method, right? Like those peasants do. All right. Yeah, it's getting there, huh? Skin starting to get some highlights on it. Got some other parts here. I want to make sure we highlight that pretty well. Make them shiny. Then go back and put white dots everywhere so that these looks moist. Funny thing is the prime, like these guys, you would think this guy was actually easier to paint because you have significantly less tail to paint. I'm like, oh yeah, I've got to paint some concrete. Okay. And this guy's like, you know, got all that extra tail. It's annoying. What you got to do, you got to model for advantage. You cut them off right here. And then you just bury them in the ground. Make them shorter. Just have him popping his head up. Buenas noches. We are painting a Tyranid, the new Kill Team Typhon. Sorry, their actual name is Subterranean Tyranid Ambush Brood. It might just be called Raveners. Yeah, because this one's called Battleclade. Battleclade Adeptus Mechanicus Expedition Assets. Is it really called Subterranean Tyranid Ambush Brood? That can't be right. It's just called Raveners, right? I know it's not Typhon because that's just the, what's it called? So here I'm just sort of mapping out where the iridescent reflections are going to go. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'll blend it in later, but I'm just sort of placing them right now. Keep wanting to call this guy the Venom Scythe, but he's not. He's something else. Get off. All right. Look, I forgot to paint that little talon right there. You find things all the time on these guys, man. You're going around painting them and you're just like, whoops, forgot to paint that claw. Okay. What else? What else? What else do I want to show? Maybe I will show one of the, what's it called real quick? The claws. Just so you guys can see it. So I'm going to take abyssal turquoise here, which is a dark turquoise. And some steel gray. Because we're at 3.5 hours. And as much as I like you guys, it's about when I start to reach my tired point. I've got 10 Rubik base coated 5 different ways to see what I find easiest, 3 different bright base coats to see if I can get the blues to pop, gold base coat to try out that shortcut. When I was painting Scorn and I wanted to do a bunch of guys, I used to base coat them gold and then paint the insides. So, like, instead of painting the filigree at the end, I used to paint it at the beginning and then fill in the interior panels. I found it slightly easier. So here, what I want to do is I want to look. I can kind of use the camera to see it, but I'm going to do the same thing I normally do, right? Or with like any sort of metallic effect. So this is the main view, right? So if I wet this talon, if I get it moist for you guys, you should be able to see this like shine show up right here, right? That's where the like main shine on the claw is going to be. So I'm looking for that sort of angle right there to put that main shine. So eventually I will build up to that, but this will stretch further along than just that. So it'll go something like that to start, and then I'll paint that shine in the middle of that line. Would you approach it the same way for the black iridescent carapace? Yeah, I mean, basically it's like, I want it to be black, right? So here you can see that shine shows up there, right? So I want it to be black, so I'm not really focused on like volumetric, like light and shadow so much as just like where reflections would be. Okay, so there is a difference. I want it to look very black though, so instead I'm just gonna place like the shiny lights. This one I might have to cheat a little bit. There's all these little like cutouts and stuff for where I guess he injects the venom. So I'm not gonna mess with that too much. It'll be something I paint kind of on my own. Right, so I'm sort of mapping out, and then I'm going to add some of the steel gray to this mixture. And it's like, brings it up. This is a pretty big jump, but what I'll do is I'll then put inside of that a smaller light, right? So it's starting to build that shine. And you notice all of these work from the same direction, okay? So they're all kind of working from this kind of front view. Hello, Heath Barnett. Did I miss Pixel Man? If I did, I'm sorry. Welcome. All right. So here, I'm kind of building up this shine, right? And then when I go to do the, I will pick like another angle. So I'll maybe do this way, and then like, these are a little more complicated, but you can sort of see the shine effect happening where it's like, it sort of happens here, and then some of these catch light, right? So it's like I'm painting the last 20% of the non-metallic, right? I'm just painting the like main reflection, not any of the environmental reflections. I'm not worried about like how the sun would reflect in his claws or anything. Just sort of the main light source. Okay, so I'll pick a couple different angles. Typically it's easiest to do like 180 from each other. So it's like, all right, I get a reflection here, and then I turn around and I get another reflection from here. Okay, then I will add some of the pure steel gray. And I'll go inside that. I gotta, right, so now it should start to look pretty shiny. This one's going to be higher up because the position of this talon is different, right? They're on a different angle. His are actually all pretty similar in angle. It's a little more complicated when you have like all 6 talons are kind of in different orientations. Here they're all quite similar. Right, so I'll just place that shine smaller in the middle. And then when I get to it, I'll get really, you know, if I wanted to get really finicky, I could come back and like really, you know, blend all these together and everything. But this should give you a general idea of how the effect works. Right, now I'm going to take some of the Glacier blue and add it just a little bit. I'm not going to use like pure Glacier blue. I don't want it to be like white reflections on black. They can be a little darker, but I do want to add just a little bit of a shine that's even brighter than that. Right, so it's just this little touch at the end that's like, oh, okay, you know, you can see that like whatever that light source is shining in his claws. But it's important to make these pretty small because we want the claws to read as black, right? We don't want them to look like steel, okay? So don't overdo the size of the lights, right? This whole stretch here is quite small. Like 80% or more of the claw is still black. Maybe just on this one, I'll push it just to these bigger claws. Push it just a touch further. Just a little bit, just to make that one really shine, you know? The big one should draw attention anyways. Okay, so shiny boy Tyranid. And some of the talons have like these little holes and stuff in them, so I'll make sure when I can see it well, like to go in and hit those with little highlights and stuff and do all these like serrations and things. maybe hit some of this stuff with like a subtle edge highlight, but not up to the same level of shine as some of the other parts. Just to give some edge definition, right? Like this has a line right here. If I line it up like that, now you should be able to see it, right? There's like a line, an edge there. So I'll probably end up hitting that with somewhat of an edge highlight, but not to the same extreme as the actual shine. And then eventually I'll have this black sort of taking over this section, right? So like as it crosses into the other part, that it's like fading, they're fading into each other. Or I'll make this more white, so it's like fading from white into a purple kind of color. But yeah, he's got his nasty little venom sac things. We'll make sure to hit all those with highlights and everything, and I'll add some more coloration to that and maybe push them into like a livery green, some sort of really light, you know, yellowish green or something to give it a toxic effect to it. I might even wash it again just to lower it a little bit more. So I can make that highlight. More intense and interesting. See ya, Jared. All right, so up. Ta-da. Yeah, so there's still some, you know, finishing touch stuff to do on this. I've got to come back and yeah, definitely finish some areas, but should give you the idea about how I painted this fine gentleman right here. So you should have a sense of how it was done, right? They should have given one a rattlesnake tail. Even here you can see his is slightly more turquoise, right? So what I'd probably need to do is come back and glaze some of that turquoise over the top to get them a little closer. I don't know if you can really see how well you guys can see that, but I can see it. Right? There's some subtly more turquoisey-ness to the higher saturation on this one's claws than on this one. Love some bugs. Cool. They're cool stuff.